All right. Hi, everybody. I'm joined with Brian,
Glad to be back. Let's do it.
the real dumb movie debate champion.
Yeah, that's a heavy title, but I'll take it. That's fine.
So, who better to talk some Oscar movies with than the movie champ? Just so this doesn't end up being an hour, we'll jump right the fuck into it. What we're going to do is give you some predictions, let you know what's up for what, and then tell you what we think will win and what we think should win, and if we thought something was snubbed in the process. So first up, best doc short. You watched any of these?
I've watched none of them. I'm ready for my best guess,
Me
though.
either. So we got Walk, Run, Cha Cha, In the Absence, Life Overtakes Me, Learning to Skateboard, and St. Louis Superman. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with learning to skateboard.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Walk, Run, Cha Cha.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go with the other one you guys didn't go with.
Well, there are three others.
Okay, so I have better odds.
All right. I guess you can put Chris down for any of the other three. Best sound editing. We got 1917, Ford versus Ferrari, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and Joker.
Ooh, that's tough.
I think they will give it to 1917.
My choice for sound editing, I believe they will give it to 1917. So,
I've only seen one of those movies, but I would almost, in a way, lean Tarantino. Due to
The sound in 1917, though, is phenomenal. Next up, we got Makeup and Hair, 1917, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, Joker, Bombshell, and Judy. Full disclosure, I haven't seen three of these.
full disclosure, I forgot what you said. But I'm going Joker.
is it because of clown makeup?
I don't remember the category.
I'm going to go with Bombshell.
I haven't slept in like 32 hours.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't remember anything from like
Um,
3 seconds ago.
for makeup and hair, I'm gonna go Maleficent.
Was Star Trek an option?
No.
That's weird. Nominated for sound but not makeup in a fucking space movie? They should know their audience, man.
And then we have editing, Jojo Rabbit, Ford versus Ferrari, Joker, Parasite, and The Irishman.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Guys, that you see me looking on my phone here, I've got this list on my phone. I like to visualize this before I pick it here. Film editing. Okay, here we go. Yeah, go. You can go first here.
Film editing, I'm going to say Parasite, because The Irishman, I don't feel was edited at all. But that's probably what's going to... I think The Irishman will win it, but Parasite deserves it.
This is a good spot to bring up Netflix originals. Like,
Yeah.
are they going to have the balls to pull the trigger on them or not? I'm
Well,
very
Roma
curious.
won a bunch of shit last year.
Yeah, but that's like an example. You know what I mean? Like, until they knock off multiple films with multiple awards, I'm like still wary to pull the trigger. Although I think that you have a really good pick for that one. I'm gonna throw a guess out here for film editing, and I'm gonna go with Jojo Rabbit.
That'd be cool. Next, we have live action short, Nefra Football Club, Saria, however you say it, Brotherhood, The Neighbor's Widow, and A Sister. Not to be confused with Sister, which is up for animated short, but A Sister. I have not seen any of these. Saria, or however you say it, sounds the most pretentious, so I think it'll win.
I'm going to go with The Neighbor's Window. I've also seen none of these. That's a guess.
And then animated short, we have Sister, Kit Bull, Memorable, Hair Love. I'm starting to question if I wrote some of these down right. And Daughter. And I'm convinced Sister and Daughter are the same movie from two different perspectives.
Plot twist, could be.
But I'm going to go with the one I've actually seen, which is Kit Bull. It's actually on Disney Plus right now.
I wish I would have known that. I'm kicking myself. This is one small category that I really like to dive into, and I successfully picked it correctly last year, and so I'm mad that I haven't seen any of these based off of their small descriptions and titles. I'm going to go with Daughter.
Now we've got Production Design, 1917, Parasite, Jojo Rabbit, The Irishman, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I feel like this is probably going to be the hardest one to predict because 4 of them are like period pieces.
Right.
So it's just kind of like what direction do we think the Academy will go in?
I know where I'm going with this one right off the bat.
I'm going to say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because most of the people that are voting were there.
Right. They're either going to they could potentially load this movie up with awards and they could potentially snub it, give it the Tarantino snub to it. You know, I don't know. I'm going to go with 1917 is what I think they're going to choose. I believe the correct answer is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's what I want to win for this particular category, but I'm going to go 1917 on my guess.
You think they're just going to let 1917 sweep it?
I think they're going to let it sweep like technical categories. Yep.
Then costume design, Joker, The Irishman, Little Women, Jojo Rabbit, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm going to say Jojo Rabbit.
Man, this is a tough one.
So far, what I've picked, I feel like actually deserves it too, except the one I specified.
This is a really tough category for
So
me.
I'm probably all wrong.
For my guess on costume design, I'm going to go Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Now, visual effects, I have some shit to say about some of these. Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, Endgame, 1917, Lion King, and The Irishman. If The Irishman wins...
What was your favorite visual effect from The Irishman?
I assume it's the de-aging, but in like half the scenes they forgot their fucking necks, and they just look like floating heads, and it's horrible. And like... God love him, but Robert De Niro, when he's breaking that guy's hand, is clearly an 80-year-old man trying to act like he's...
Thank you for saying it. It's like he could barely pick his foot up. I was like, he's going to throw his hip out of place, and he was like giving it the lightest little stomps, and the guy's like, no more! And it's like, here's the lightest little tap. That's exactly what was happening. And so, you know, something else I noticed with the aging on that, which I'm glad you brought up as well, I was laughing at the fact he was aging So a few of them were aging just crazy, and a few of the younger actors and actresses in it were just not aging at all. It was like these guys were putting on 20 years, and then the young actresses alongside of them, their supporting cast, were putting on no years at all. They look exactly the same. So, yeah, that's not that better not win.
I had to look up if Joe Pesci was actually dead, and they just like did a Carrie Fisher thing.
Right. Right.
But
I don't think I missed that somewhere, but yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, it looks fine, but I don't want that movie to win anything ever. 1917, I feel like has some good visual effects, but not when you're comparing it to Endgame or Lion King. So I think 1917 is going to win, but I think Endgame should.
So your choice is 1917?
Yes.
Well, to really put the dagger in your heart on this one, since we're going head to head here, I'm going to choose Endgame. And I mean, for visual effects, I think that it should. But there's a potential here for 1917 to sweep every technical category. So
Yeah.
could happen. But I'm going to go Endgame.
Yeah, I think Endgame definitely deserves it. Sound mixing, we have Joker, Ford versus Ferrari, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ad Astra, and 1917.
Which one of those movies got a black guy in it?
None. I actually haven't seen Ad Astra or Ford versus Ferrari, but
Shit. It's not called Ford versus Cadillac. Ain't no brothers in that movie.
it'll probably be 1917. Though I'm guessing Ford versus Ferrari is probably great, like with the sound mixing.
Yeah,
like
it's a damn shame that neither one of us have seen this one because we would probably have better input.
But yeah, they like to give that kind of shit to like gunfire and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, final answer, 1917?
Final answer, 1917.
My final answer is 1917. Sticking with the technical sweep for the most part for 1917.
Cinematography, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Irishman, 1917. Shame this is the only nomination this got. The Lighthouse,
Yeah, it is a shame.
Ford versus Ferrari, Ad Astra, and Joker. And I feel like that's 7, and they usually keep it to 5, so that's stupid.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 on this
What do
list.
you got? Maybe Google lied to me.
Maybe. I've got The Irishman, Joker, The Lighthouse, 1917, and Once Upon a Time.
Okay, so Ford versus Ferrari and Ad Astra should not be in that.
So what are you going with? Cinematography.
Oh, God. It should be The Lighthouse. That movie looks amazing, and the way they play with lighting and everything is
I think that's part of the reason
phenomenal.
people love it so much. Is specifically because of that. It looks like $1 million. Yeah,
But I think it'll be 1917 because of the one-take gimmick.
exactly. You're going to hear a lot about that, and I'm with you. Pretty much sticking with the technical sweep. Cinematography, 1917.
So we might want to go off your list for Best Original Song, because I know what 2 of them are from, but I don't know what 3 of them are from.
All right.
We've got Stand Up, which is from Harriet, I believe.
Yes.
And then we've got I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, which is from Toy Story 4.
Yes.
And then the other 3 would be...
There's one from Rocket Man, I'm Gonna Love. There is one from Breakthrough. Are you familiar with Breakthrough?
No.
I'm not at all. I'm standing with. I guess these have more words.
I'm Standing With You.
Yeah, I guess.
I have that written down.
Okay. Into the Unknown, Frozen 2. one, and that's so that was the two that you're missing. Rocket Man and Frozen 2 both had an original song nominated.
I hear that Into the Unknown is better than the song from Frozen 1. Let It Go or whatever.
Right. But
So,
do they have the balls to pull the trigger on that at the Academy, though? You think?
who sings Stand Up? Is it the girl that plays Harriet?
I don't know.
It's gonna be Stand Up. They're too sick of being called racist. But it should probably be Into the Unknown because Let It Go is actually a pretty great song, and if this one's better, then yeah.
I'm gonna go with the one from Rocket Man. I'm Gonna Love Me Again is the name of that song. It was a musical. I'm going with it. I watched Rocket Man, by the way. Much different than what I thought it was going to be. I said this when it came out. It seems like a year ago that I watched Rocket Man, but it nonetheless falls in this year. And I said this when it came out. The worst thing that it's a cool movie, by the way. I don't know if you ever watched it.
No.
It was a cool movie. Would I watch it again? Maybe if I skimmed through the channels and it was on. I certainly wouldn't stray away from it, or I wouldn't tell people never watch it. I would watch it again. But the worst thing that happened to Rocket Man was it following Bohemian Rhapsody very closely. So people couldn't get Bohemian out of their mind, and everything they did, they compared it to that, and it was never going to stand up to Bohemian Rhapsody in both the how the story was interesting, so the storyline and everything, it was not going to stand up to Bohemian, and that was the worst thing that happened to it. So you pretty much just swept Rocket Man under the rug. I think they're going to give it one on this one, so original song.
And then we have Best Adapted Screenplay. For this, we have Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, The Irishman, Joker, and The Two Popes. Did you watch The Two Popes?
No, I didn't.
I actually did. It's not a bad movie. I was very iffy if I should even turn it on. I don't regret it. So I think they'll give it to The Irishman.
I'm going to stick with the theme currently that I may or may not have made up in my own head. Maybe this year we'll break it open. I think they're scared to pull the trigger on Netflix originals, and I'm going to give it to Little Women.
Okay. That is a fair guess in my opinion. I almost went with that. I haven't read the source material for any of these though.
True.
Except Joker. I mean, technically, I've read Batman comics, so. Best documentary feature: Edge of Democracy, For Sama, Honeyland, American Factory, and The Cave. I think it'll go to Honeyland.
So, documentary feature. Again, I'm a little sad to say that I don't know more about these. I'm a documentary lover, and I'm kicking myself for not diving into these. However, I did dive into Honeyland, and I think they're going to give it to Honeyland.
I have not seen Honeyland, but it is the only one I've heard anyone talk about.
It's also the only one I've heard anyone talk about. It's the only one that I have seen, and the subject matter of this one is very relevant in today's world, and they like to slide that in there. As you know, it's the Academy. So, yeah, Honeyland, I agree.
Then we have Original Screenplay, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Knives Out, fuck Ryan Johnson, and 1917. I did not see Knives Out.
I did.
I don't want to give him any more of my money. Best original screenplay. That's hard.
It's tough. My little list over here is not wanting me to see that one.
You got Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Knives Out, and 1917. I think Parasite should probably win, but I think they'll give it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I think, and I've seen these. Okay, I think that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would be my choice if I got to pick it, and I think they're going to snub it on this one, and I think they're going to give this one to Marriage Story. As much as
Which
I don't-
is pulling the Netflix trigger.
pulling the Netflix trigger, I feel like they've got to slide one in there with it, and where they're not going to give it, Best Picture of the Year. I don't think so. I think this is the one. This is the best they're going to give it right.
You know what? I'm gonna change mine to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, go with it, man.
I don't think.
I'm pulling for that one.
I think
They're not going to give it to a foreign film. I don't think.
here's why I said I'm switching it. Best foreign language film. You have Les Miserables again, Parasite, Corpus Christi, Honeyland, and Pain and Glory. And I think this will be the one Parasite wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And rightfully so. I haven't seen all of those, but I trust in Parasite and Bong Joon-ho as a filmmaker that whatever he made that year is the best foreign film of the year.
Did you? He was the one that was it Okja? Is that what it was called?
He did that.
I really enjoyed it.
He did Snowpiercer, which I think is a phenomenal movie, and he did The Host. Best animated feature. We've got Klaus, Missing Link, Toy Story 4, How to Train Your Dragon 3, and I Lost My Body, which I really want to see and I haven't. So, that being said, I'm going with Toy Story 4.
I'm not even thinking about it. Pulling the trigger. Toy Story 4. Duke Kaboom. P.S. Duke Kaboom. I'm in it for Duke Kaboom. That's it.
Best Original Score. Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. 1917. Joker. Little Women. Marriage Story. I think this is the year. He's announced he's done with it. They're going to give it to John Williams for Rise of Skywalker. He's finally going to get his Star Wars score award.
This is tough for me to pull the trigger.
For the worst score in Star Wars, mind you.
Right. Original score, but what he's going with. You know what? Fuck it. Best original score, I am going with Joker on this one. And I'll tell you, I know we're going to get into all this obviously soon enough here when we start talking about the feature films. But that score throughout the Joker, it almost gives me chills thinking about it. It's just so haunting. They did a phenomenal. You can talk as much shit you want about the movie, or does it deserve, or this or that. That score, if that score wasn't in that movie, I don't think it's in any of these categories. That's how important the score is to the movie, at least. The most important score in any of these movies is the one in Joker. It's haunting. They did a fantastic job. I think Joker deserves it on this one, actually. So
It's literally just some lady with a cello.
dude, she killed it. She killed it. I think they might give this to 1917, actually, but I'm going to go with Joker.
God. I mean, the music in 1917 is just so subtle that, like, I barely noticed it, which might be what tips it over the edge. But Best Director. Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Todd Phillips for Joker. Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. Goddamn Scorsese for The Irishman. And Sam Mendes for 1917.
We're starting to get into the big boys now, man. Here we go.
Yep. So, Tarantino. We'll come back to him. Todd Phillips for Joker. No. I feel like Joaquin Phoenix was a better director to that movie than Todd Phillips. It was pretty much like he wrote it, and then there's so many fucking takes in that movie of Joaquin just doing stuff different that like
Yeah, he was the cash cow of the movie.
Yeah.
And you're again, we'll dive deeper into things like Joker here shortly. But as much as I love the movie, I'm gonna totally agree with you. Todd Phillips not getting it for directing. In my
Parasite.
opinion.
Bong Joon-ho is great. We can both agree he's only getting the foreign language award this year. Scorsese for The Irishman. I mean, easily could win. Just name recognition alone. He's respected. Everyone loves him in the business.
That movie was loaded with stars, and so people magnetized towards it.
1917. It's seemingly one take. Birdman was seemingly one take. It won a lot of shit. So, are they like over that now? Did they already give that award out
Yeah.
for the innovator?
Are we overthinking what they're going to do here? Like that's what I'm asking myself. I know who I think should and who I want, so I'm ready when you are.
And then Tarantino, always consistently great.
Yeah.
So, who
Aging like fine wine.
do you want? And who do you think?
I would like to see Tarantino get this award. I think it's a really tough category. These films are stacked in this category. I would like to see Tarantino get it. I think he deserves it for this one. I mean, it is a classic, fantastic Tarantino film, and it's something I'll watch 100 more times. And a lot of it is because of his directing. It's all his little quips that you get in with a Tarantino film. That's what makes this film so great. If someone else was directing it, I think you might bore everyone to death. But his style is what makes it great. That's who I want to win, and that's who I'll be rooting for. I think they're going to give it. I think they're going to give it to Sam Mendes with 1917.
I would like Bong Joon-ho to win it. I think Parasite is like a pretty original movie, and I'm surprised it's even up for as much as it is. I love the movie, and I appreciate a great underdog story. So I would like to see Parasite win it, but I honestly think it'll be 1917 and Sam Mendes.
Yeah, this is his year. This is his year, and they're gonna reward the hell out of this movie throughout the awards, which is fine. I love the movie. I would like to see Tarantino take it. I've got a soft spot in my heart for that, for him.
I'd be cool with Tarantino or Bong Joon-ho. I would be indifferent to Sam Mendes, and I would hate it if Todd Phillips or Scorsese won.
I think you nailed it with the Todd Phillips segment that you did right there. I don't think he's going to get this one, so no worries there. Bong Joon-ho, I think their award to him was even putting him in the category. That was his award. They're like, you're there. You can sit at the table. That's as far as it goes. So yeah, 1917 Sam Mendes for me.
Supporting actress, we got Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell. I don't fucking know. Margot Robbie for Bombshell. Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit. Florence Pugh for Little Women. And Laura Dern for Marriage Story.
This fucking scary fucking feral runs all the way up the wall down there and just out the back door. Like, oh shit! Well, this place is being torn down tomorrow. So we take
This one's hard because I haven't seen Richard Jewell, Bombshell, or Little Women. But I don't think it'll be Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, and it shouldn't be Laura Dern for Marriage Story. I'm gonna go with Florence Pugh because what I did see was Midsommar, and apparently her Little Women performance is even better than her Midsommar performance. So, yeah, Florence Pugh is my pick, and I don't know, Margot Robbie and Kathy Bates are always consistently good, but Little Women's up for a lot. I think this will be the one it takes.
I'm gonna go with Marriage Stories, Laura Dern on this one. I think she is on.
I don't even remember her in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you just like fucking stop paying attention to the movie because I mean,
No.
Okay. You don't remember? I mean,
I remember Adam Driver crying. I remember too much of that movie.
I never thought that I would personally dislike an Adam Driver movie. I thought it was not possible because I just love him so much. Always have. And it just like, I get it. I get the acting performances that were going on. But I'll tell you what, Dern in this movie, she's fantastic. I mean, you're never going to rewatch it. But if you did, you should pay attention to her. And I think she's going to take this one. And I'm pretty confident she's going to take it, actually. How's that? That's one of my most confident picks.
Wow.
Okay.
We'll skip to Best Supporting Actor. We got Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joe Pesci for The Irishman. Something I thought was strange. Where's De Niro in any of this?
Right.
Like, he's not up for Best Actor.
Right.
We got Pacino for The Irishman, and then Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Oh, she didn't actually. She spent like. She was arrested.
Has Anthony Hopkins ever won an Academy Award? Did he win for?
Should have. I feel like he. I'll look it up real quick. You can continue to talk about the others while I do.
Brad Pitt, while I think he is the best part of that movie, I don't think it's an Oscar-winning performance.
He's definitely the best part of the movie. And, you know, like, hell, when I started that movie with an open mind, I didn't know where I would go with who I loved and who I didn't love. And it's just like, by the end, I mean, I even made that statement. When the movie ended, I said, well, Brad Pitt's character is the reason I would even, introduce this movie to other people that maybe aren't as much of a film goer as you and I. I would say you're going to want to watch it for Brad Pitt's character. And I mean that seriously. So, yeah.
Also thought it was odd Tom Hanks is playing Mr. Rogers in a Mr. Rogers movie, and he's up for Best Supporting Actor.
Did you watch that?
No.
If you watched it, you would understand. That movie is put together in a way that you didn't expect going in. So it's not necessarily like a docu-style Mr. Rogers movie. He's actually a side note in the movie, and the way they weaved his character into it, absolutely genius, as a matter of fact. It's just kind of strange subject matter that, you know, maybe would bore some people. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the film, and I almost feel like they're going to reward Tom Hanks because the Academy loves Tom Hanks.
Then we got Joe Pesci and Al Pacino, who are both in the same movie. And I think Joe Pesci blew Al Pacino out of the water in this movie.
Joe Pesci was fantastic. He was probably my favorite part of the movie, as a matter of fact.
For sure.
Especially old man Joe Pesci, as they were wheeling him out in the wheelchair at the end. Anthony Hopkins has won Best Actor in a Leading Role, Silence of the Lambs, 92.
I thought he got it, but I didn't want to say that
Right.
and be wrong. I would like Joe Pesci to get it, honestly. He won Best Supporting before for Goodfellas, and I feel like this performance is the best of the five, and it's on par with his Goodfellas performance, if not better. So I'd like to see him get it, but I think they might give it to Hopkins. Just because he's playing like a real person who's fairly recent in the news and stuff. Like fairly recent.
They're
going to
pull that Academy card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be. I have nothing against Anthony Hopkins. I would be disappointed if they pulled that card. I agree with everything you said about Pesci. This is one of his best performances, actually. He's really fantastic supporting role in this movie. For me, for what the Academy is going to choose, it's really between two. It's Brad Pitt's role in Once Upon a Time. It's Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day. Man, it's tough because I really think Brad Pitt deserves it right here for Once Upon a Time, and I'm just going to lock it in with that. I think they might give it to Tom Hanks, which I wouldn't be mad for because I have nothing nothing bad to say about Tom Hanks or that movie, but I'm gonna go Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time. And I've probably now chosen Once Upon a Time too many times. There's no way it's going to win this many awards. It's going to win like 1 to 2 awards max, or get snubbed altogether or something fucking crazy.
Best Actress in a Leading Role. We got Charlize Theron for Bombshell, Renee Zellweger, who I honestly forgot was a person, for Judy, Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, and Charlize, is that how you say it? Charlize Ronan for Little Women.
Yes.
It's Gaelic, Celtic, whatever.
Yeah.
So I know it's spelled all sorts of weird.
She probably had a hard time growing up with that first name.
Yeah. So your
Nobody's-
name's Sayori?
Yeah. No one's saying that name right. They're not going to pick her just because of that. They're afraid to say the name on stage.
I haven't seen any of these except Marriage Story. I think Scarlett Johansson was great in it. Like, even removing myself from like the chore that is sitting through that movie. She captivated me when she was on screen, at least. Her and Driver had good chemistry. Charlize Theron's always great. Renee Zellweger, whatever. Cynthia Erivo is playing Harriet Tubman. That's gonna win. For sure. That's like when that chick won for The Help and that chick won for Precious.
I've already written her name down as my choice while you were talking, so I had already penciled that in as well.
Lupita Nyong'o, or however you say it, from Us, though.
Yeah,
Is utterly snubbed.
utterly snubbed. Thank you that
Like-
we're here now. Yes.
Who would you can get rid of any of these
Yes.
for her and it would be fine, and then she should win. So best actor in a leading role, we've got Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I figured out what is off about Adam Driver for me. So, you know Big, Tom Hanks' character?
Yeah.
I think Adam Driver's actually like a 10-year-old boy who got made big. And so he like thinks he has to lower his voice, and he doesn't know how to buy clothes that fit. And he's like
I like this theory.
very disproportionate. And yeah, I don't think he'll win. It was a great performance, but whatever. Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes. It was a good performance as well. And it is, you know, he's playing an actual person who's still alive and still doing the job.
Who had a better performance in Marriage Story, Scarlett or Adam Driver?
That's the question. That's what that whole
That's-
movie's about.
It's just about them battling. I'm a huge Adam Driver fan. I said that earlier. I am gonna say Scarlett had the better performance, even though Adam Driver was fantastic as well. And I hated her fucking character. I hated her down to her haircut. It pissed me off. I couldn't even watch it. She just wanted to speak to the manager the whole
Yeah.
time.
I think they were equally good. I think they just had two different roles to play, and they both delivered.
They both delivered, absolutely.
I've not seen Pain and Glory, so I don't know. DiCaprio, there was that joke that he'd never win. He won for the wrong movie.
And now he's over again. So that's
yeah.
that. He got his award.
Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, it has to win it.
This one is probably the most in the bag. I mean, I don't even have to think about this. It's already penciled in. I could have written nothing on this paper, and that would have been the one thing I wrote. This one is in the bag. Lock it in. I will be absolutely shocked if Joaquin Phoenix does not win Best Actor in a Leading Role.
So, when I thought about this, it was like, who was the better Joker, Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix?
This sounds like a real dumb movie debate question.
And it's like, Heath Ledger was better to me, personally. He won, though. So it's like, if Heath Ledger had lost, then Joaquin Phoenix should not win.
Right, yeah, you'd be worried about it. I agree.
But he won, so it's fine.
Right.
Best Picture. We got 1917, Ford versus Ferrari, Joker, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, The Irishman, Little Women, Jojo Rabbit, and Marriage Story. Did not see Ford versus Ferrari or Little Women, so no and no. Jojo Rabbit won't win. It's a great, quirky little movie.
Yeah, they don't give that to that.
Yeah, that's like a courtesy nomination. Parasite, best foreign film, not winning best picture.
The second biggest freak out at that one party.
Joker just shouldn't. It's not good enough. Joaquin Phoenix is the only truly great thing in that movie.
I think the score is great. I'm going to slide that in there, but
Fair enough. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I feel like has a decent shot, just because that, people lived that, and he like rewrote history to a tragedy that people who are voting knew Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate and blah blah blah. So it has a decent shot. Marriage Story, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So the real competition, I think, is between 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and The Irishman. So, yeah, I don't know. I think
This is where they always get us every year. This is the big drum roll where it's like, it seems like there's an answer, or your top three list, none of them will be the winner.
you know what I think should win is Avengers Endgame. It is the best picture of the year. Give that award to Kevin Feige, because it goes to the producers. Kevin Feige gave us 10 years and 23 films of amazingness that all interconnected, culminating in Endgame.
Well, it's not on the list, so.
It should be.
So anyways, moving on.
My favorite movie of these is Parasite. But I think 1917 will win Best Picture, especially given, I believe it won the Golden Globe for Best Picture, and those usually follow suit.
Yeah. Last year they did not follow suit, by the way. I specifically remember that about last year. They surprised everybody with Green Book last year, out of nowhere. And that's where I get into this whole top three thing. It's like, I could have come up with a top three last year. That certainly wasn't on there, and that took it. And we were even in talking to each other live in group chat at the time. We were just like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And I still recall this in the back of my head, so it makes me scared to pick. I will say I have two personal favorites out of this list. I'm not talking about technicalities other than just me enjoying a film. My two personal favorites, Joker and 1917. Period. Because, and I say this because both of those movies, Once Upon a Time is going to be third on that list for me, but all three of those movies I'm going to watch them 100 times. Like, literally, I'm going to know them front to back. I love them. I think who deserves it? 1917. That's who I think, and so that's going to be my choice. I hate to choose the same thing as you on this one. I'm going to choose 1917, but I swear to God, I'm putting this in parentheses. I'm calling it right now. I think they might pick Little Women. Haven't even seen it, but I just feel like that's the Academy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an empowering women leading role throughout. You know, it just seems to fit the narrative for them, and it's where they scare me on that. So I have an asterisk with Little Women written down, but I can't waver from my 1917 pick. 1917 it is for me. So
Agreed. So, anything to add?
no, I guess this is where everybody just yells about Joker and what it deserves and what it doesn't. What a
Yeah, Beverage is watching, and then some dude who says nobody's watching you, just give up, who has been watching for the entire stream.
Yeah.
So those are the thoughts from the public.
Thank you for that. I'm so glad to produce this for you.
Yeah, they should make best stunt a category. That's the only other thing I'll say.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that.
Context, trying to be the off-screen guy.
Off-screen guys talking.
Like, that's the action stunt, or are you talking about like just that part of the movie where like there's like a dude and he's there being a dude, and then suddenly another dude comes out and he's like, bam! He got the watch, he got the shiny shoes. He's the guy. Like he's stunt. Best stunt would be. I'm surprised that it's not really a thing, because they award things that nobody that watches movies gives.
How the fuck is that not an award? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty important part of many films.
Well,
When they say in movies they put their like backbone into it, that's them. The stunt guys. They literally bleed.
Shout out to stunt guys. Give them an award. Final thoughts.
bye everybody.